Hello, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of Interior Health, we would like to recognize and acknowledge the traditional and unceded territory of the Syilx Nation, where we live, learn, collaborate, and work together. Welcome to Research Week 2018. This presentation is titled Interior Health Operational Approval and Data Requests Go Online, and is presented by Holly Buhler and Ursula Kaeser. Take it away, Holly and Ursula.
Thank you. I'll just move the mic a little bit closer to me because I'm notorious for having a soft voice, so hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you for joining this presentation talking about operational approval and data requests and how we are going to be moving online soon. I am joined in the room here in Kelowna by a couple of people who are integral to the current operational approval process, Kim Peek, who you just heard her lovely voice, and Ursula Kaeser. So before we get started, I'm just going to ask Kim, do you mind doing an introduction to yourself and your role in operational approval, her background?
I have a very loud voice. You don't have a mic for me. My name is Kim Peek. I'm a Research Navigation Coordinator for the IH Research Department and the Interior Center. My role is to provide support, navigating connection for researchers who wish to conduct their research with or within Interior Health. So I am usually the first point of contact for many things for our department, but in operational approval is really a great resource for you to use to be able to connect to who's in the zoo and who you would need to request that from. So operational approvals are really to outline any human or physical resources that might be requested from IH in order to conduct their research, and I am a connector of that and something that would be very useful for you to utilize for support.
Ursula Kaeser, I'm from the IT department. I'm at the other end of Kim because I'm then actually the person that is pulling the data once it went all through the operational approval, and once we have figured out what we need, where we can get it, if we can get it, and then we're in contact with the researchers directly once we get there to clarify little things.
Beautiful. My name is Holly Buhler. I'm Regional Practice Lead for Research and Knowledge Translation. And my role in all of this, we often get things that relate to data analytics and technology, and so I help facilitate a lot of the data request processes, and also now that we're moving to this online operational approval process, I'll be helping to move us forward with that. So my goals for this presentation are to start out broadly, to give a quick overview of our current approval processes within Interior Health, to frame that we're then going to focus on operational approval, what we've done in the past, what we're doing, and what we're moving towards. I'll talk about a couple of pieces that are involved with this new process, give a live demo, and then we'll focus even into the data request component of it. So the data request component is a part of operational approval, but only applies to those who are actually requesting IH patient data from Interior Health. So just one little added step if you need that piece from us. Okay. So this is our current diagram of approval processes right now. Oh, you're the controlling. Okay, that's not. We've got computers all with the same screen in here. So here are the two key approval processes that one needs to go through. They're going to conduct research within Interior Health. Most people, I think, are familiar with ethical review, so submitting an REB application, and the second is operational review. So we've had at least one good presentation on REB review so far, REB 101 this research week. So if you do have questions about that process, I'm not going to be going into that in any detail, but you can look up the presentation as a recorded WebEx when it's released next week. And also a heads up that Dorothy Herbert, the REB coordinator, will be giving a presentation on the, let's see if I can get this right, Provincial Research Ethics Platform, will be of benefit to multi-jurisdictional studies moving forward, and that will be tomorrow. And I should say that Dorothy Herbert has invited Jean Ruse as Paul
Okay, Paula.
Paula Pinto Vidal.
Perfect. Paula was spelled a little differently, and I didn't want to say it incorrectly. But yes, but Dorothy Dorothy's been in great communication with them, so they'll actually be here in person.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and that's tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Mark your calendars. For the operational review component, currently we have a form. It's a quick 4-page form. The first page is content information, basically. The last page is features, and the 2 pages in between give an opportunity to provide an overview of what your study is about and how it's going to impact IH. As part of that operational approval process, you'll see here that we've got a box for requesting biospecimens. So we don't have very many studies come through that do request biospecimens, but if you are creating a biobank, there's a registration process provisionally now, and we can give you guidance on that. Then this larger component in the middle here relates to the data request, and we'll get into that in more detail as we move forward. And also, for clinical trials, there can be additional agreements like trial agreements or financial agreements that apply. So that is mediated through our clinical research manager, Colleen Adderley. And all of this to say, once you have your 2 approvals, your operational and your ethical approval, you get a piece of paper that's a certificate of institutional approval to conduct research. And this is something that is being more and more recognized across our organization. If a researcher does approach a department, say a health records department, and requests patient records for the purposes of their research, the department head will often require this certificate is produced before moving forward. Again, a quick overview of related presentations. There's the tomorrow. Clinical research is actually being presented on tomorrow, and also we have WebEx recordings now of 2 excellent presentations, the REB 101 and the new research policies within IH. So operational approval, what we've done in the past, what we're doing now, and what we're moving towards. For those who were able to attend our previous presentation from Yvonne Lefebvre about the strategic direction of the IH Research Department, she gave some good history on where we've been and how far we've grown. Suffice to say, in 2013, 2014, we were quite small, and we had limited capacity. We had 1.5 positions dedicated to research and about 1.5 dedicated to the research ethics side. And because of this, operational approval processes were fairly informal, often email-based. As we expanded, and also as more demand for our services and research coming through IH, we moved to a paper-based process, and that's what most folks who are conducting research within IH would be familiar with. So, as I mentioned, this is a 4-page form, and it just captures some basic information about the study and about the impacts that are being requested by the researcher. So moving forward, we are hoping to go towards the web-based platform, and we're actually going to use a platform called REDCap. And we've got Victor Espinoza here, who just gave a fabulous presentation on REDCap before this presentation. So another plug, if you do want to know more about REDCap and how you can use it for your research, check out that recording. But the intent of moving towards an online platform is just to reduce the transaction time for those who want to submit operational approval, to allow us to have better information management and better communication as we move through the process. So, the study intake form, this is where we're going to start. I'm going to go to REDCap right now to give you a quick look at what this will be. So right now, this is still this isn't quite live. So as of next week, I think we'll be releasing the link live on our website. Hopefully it can get uploaded to communications, but in October, that will be live. in the page, we're just asking your basic contact information and study title, so we can get you into our system. I'll go there. One of the benefits of having it online, obviously, is that we only ask information that relates to your application. So you'll see different questions come up depending on what your previous responses were. As many people will be familiar with, your REB study file number is assigned by the REB once you've submitted your REB application. And we try to provide prompts if you do need to connect with other resources or departments based off of this initial intake. So one key thing to keep in mind, and one small limitation to this, is that we do have a contact section for the principal investigator. We have a contact section for the primary contact. And in the system, we can only use one email address to send out automated correspondence related to your application, and so that is going to be the PI's email address. So just please bear in mind, when you do use this system for the moment, any communication that is sent from the system will be sent to the PI. If you select that you are PI, then you're asked the same contact information.
Make sure you mute your lines. We're getting a little bit of heavy breathing on the line.
So once you've submitted, you choose to download your responses. You can file for your records. And you'll immediately receive a note that just asks you, action requested, IH operational approval form. So it asks you to complete the operational approval form. And this is where you tell us truly about the details of your study. We are transitioning between a paper-based process and an online process. I know we might catch some people in between the two. So if we have someone who's started a paper-based process and hears that they need to go online, we do have a question here. Have you already completed the paper-based copy? And if you have, you have to answer any of the other questions. We just ask that you would upload the document. Also, if you just submit it to Kim Peak as you would normally do, that's fine as well. But we get questions quite frequently about this. There are, rarely, we do have studies that have operational impact to IH. We've had maybe 2 of these instances in the last 2 years. I don't know. More than that. Oh, okay. So we put in an accommodation for that within the system. So if you don't feel that your study has an operational impact, we ask that you explain, and we also say that we will be following up with you because this does occur so rarely. So please bear in mind, for the most part, your response will be yes to this, and so set as the default. So the information being requested is the same as what is currently requested in the paper form. We have simplified a couple of things, and if, again, one response indicates that a later response is not relevant, you won't be asked that, which is quite helpful. In terms of study location, this is actually to help us map the research taking place within Interior Health. So we ask questions relating to the study location, and also ask about geographic sites outside IH. So to click here, it's not necessarily that we're asking about other jurisdictions, because there are other non-geographic jurisdictions or organizations that the study might be affiliated with, but this is focused on the geographic aspect. Any of these, this would be the core content for your operational approval request. If you have use of IH facilities, equipment, staff time, records, this information, or study involves collection of biospecimens, ask that you describe what that actually means and what that impact would be within age. So including locations, including whether or not, for example, if you're asking for age staff time, whether or not the expectation is that would be age paid work time. So much information as you can provide to help administrators understand what the ask is. And I think that is the most important thing to bear in mind as you're going through this form, is that the intent of this form is it helps IH administrators understand how your research is going to impact their site and their staff. So it's often thought that the people reviewing this form also review the REB application. Sometimes people are very brief in what they write, but they have two separate processes, and they're reviewed by different groups of people, and the folks who review operational approval don't actually have access to your REB submission. So as much information as you can provide about the impact of your study in this form will really help facilitate the approval process as you move forward. And so in this form, if you do select that you require patient health records, there are three different sub-processes that may be involved. So if your request involves access to Meditech, which is our EMR, that would be facilitated through an access request to the access team. If you are asking for patient charts via health records, so they're actually physical paper charts, that would be facilitated through the health records departments at the specific locations where you're going to be conducting your study. And if you're requesting an electronic data extract out of our EMR, out of Meditech, that would then go to myself and to Ursula to facilitate, as we would be pulling that out of the back end of the system. So now I'll select this. We have, again, basic questions about whether or not this has received funding. And this is the funnest of the whole form. Sign using your mouse and look a little bit interesting. I will only do my first name. But a valid signature, and it's dated. So once you submit, you'll receive a return code. So you would keep this in your record if you do want to modify your responses at a later time, and also download your responses. We automatically send you a confirmation of completion that includes your submission. Again, for your records, if you forgot to download it, that's the exit page here, as well as an operational approval signature page. And at this point, we can't automate the administrator's signature component of it, so they still need to be sent this information. They still need to physically sign. But we hope that by making this component online and reducing some of the transaction times and interactions between our departments just to submit the application, that will make the whole process much easier. So if you do not know who the administrators within Interior Health are that have responsibility for the areas that will be impacted by your study, you can reach out to Kim Peak, and we have her email here. Sorry, Kim, I'm just making so much work for you.
I love it. Please connect with me.
And she can send an introductory email to the administrators copying you. From there, then you could follow up directly with those administrators to ensure that they understand your ask, and you can answer any questions that they might have that are specific to your research. So, also, the minute delay after your submission, if you have submitted a request for data, you'll read a link to the data request form. This asks information about the cohort of interest, so the study population of interest. type of data you're requiring, so whether it's from the spectrum of aggregate to personally identifiable. As identifiable, we do ask that you provide rationale for its use. Have a data management plan, you can actually just upload it here, or any documentation that outlines the specific data elements that you are requesting. And you can add it in this space here. And we do ask that you provide us as much detail as possible. So discrete data elements are preferable rather than saying I have all blood tests relating to X diagnosis. We will need this information to actually look it up in our system. Data time period. So if you need a date range, this is common for data extracts. If you need a data between a specific date range, we'll ask you to tell us start and end date. If not, we'll just ask for a description. And then also what level of access you require. So depending on what you submit here, your questions will change. So we ask about the data collection process to understand what you need and what levels of access you need in order to make it work. Again, I do know that some information is in your REB application often, but because we don't have access to this and because that information is often written for a different purpose, having it concisely stated here is very helpful to facilitate this process more easily. If you have access to patient charts, again, we just need to specify exactly which sites you'll be requesting them from, and also note that there's a $5 per chart charge for every chart pull. And for the electronic data extract, we ask a little bit more information. So who identifies the study cohort? Oftentimes, we'll be asked to identify all individuals who were diagnosed with a certain condition between one day and another. Sometimes they will actually have a list of patients for us and be able to send that to us so we can pull the related information. If you have access to a secure data transfer tool, then we ask that you'll let us know and we can consider that in the data transfer process. If you're unsure, then we can work together with you to ensure that we've got a good, secure transfer process moving forward. And go down to privacy and risk mitigation. So if consent is being obtained, fabulous. If not, and if you're requesting personally identifiable information, we may need to put together an information sharing agreement just to fulfill the requirements under FIPA Section 35. There's so a few additional questions here about registries and linkage. Once I submit this, again, I receive another return code. I can download this if I want, and I get a confirmation email as the submission. All right, so are the lines open right now? I'm just going to take a pause there. Does anyone have any questions about that before I move on?
You can also type your questions into the chat box as well.
Okay, none. So recording IH data, and I'll move this into presentation mode. We've covered this really, but the piece I want to focus on is the electronic data extract piece, because that is what we've actually implemented a separate process for, and this is new within the last 2 years or so. We have Ursula Kaeser here. She introduced herself before to help move the process forward. And when we have a request for an extract, I'll be acting with you directly with information that you've submitted to our data request form, and make sure that the information you want is actually feasible to extract from our systems. So there is some back and forth in that process. It's not automated, but Ursula is very responsive, and she has a vast knowledge of IH systems. So it's a pleasure to actually work with someone who's got familiarity with all of the content areas within IH. So anything you want to add about your role?
Well, in experience, the more detailed you can let out, like the data range. Exactly do you want, and is it just the first visit, is last visit? Yeah, in fact, the more detailed, the more smoothly that's going to go. If not, I will just do all the questions. But yeah, we all have to sit together to make sure that I understand what you mean. So we are on the same page. So.
And I think that's another component of this is that for any data request, there will likely be a data steward who has responsibility for the area that is being requested. So, and this is partly facilitated through the operational approval form and the operational approval process. But oftentimes we do need to have a separate conversation that includes the researcher and the data steward, as well as the facilitation team, all on the same call, so we can hash out any of the details, because these requests can sometimes be complex.
And we need approval to be able to use that information from the data stewards. If I know that's too sensitive, we don't want to keep that.
Yeah.
So we can work around.
Exactly. And for multi-jurisdictional studies, or any studies that are working with Pop Data BC, we do have a good working relationship with them, and sometimes we'll include them in the call as well, just to make sure that they're familiar with our processes and we're all on the same page about how to move forward. Our contact information, if nothing else from this presentation makes sense, just remember that we're always here if you do have questions, and if you need any with the operational approval process as it is now and as it will be once we go live with the online form, just give me, him, or our general research department email address a quick email, and we'll put you in the right direction. We also have our research department website and the Research Ethics Board website, and so those are great resources if you have any questions as well. Wonderful. Are there any questions online? I know I flew through that.
Please feel free to unmute your line to ask colleagues, Ursula, myself, questions. So to go back to the research department website online, maybe that would be great to click on that and show everybody what it looks like and let them know that it will be updated. We do update it frequently. And we do get the recordings of these sessions online, and then also the online operational approval link for RedCat. This is where it will be.
Exactly. And we are hoping to have another box here for operational approval so that it is a little bit more clear about where you go to get that link. Now, our descriptive operational approval processes is under how we can help, but we will be putting that out.
Yeah, we're looking at getting a sixth box, and that's been recommended actually externally as well, to have that extra box for operational approvals as a own entity at the moment. So we, in collaborating with our IH communications department, created a new box where you can click, and then everything you need for operational approval will be there, and connect you that way. That being said, externally, for the connection, sometimes it can be a little scary. So when you press contact research, sometimes it can misdirect you. That being said, please feel free to email us at research@health anytime. Yeah, because it connects you to the contact us, and you can see it does have research at the top, which is great, but I have heard feedback sometimes it does change. Right. So just as a note that feel free, research@health.ca anytime.
I do realize that there is going to be a transition period, so this will be active as of next week, and we encourage individuals to use this to submit your studies as the REDCap online process. If you've already begun a paper-based operational approval process, if you've completed the form already, continue that way. You have to throw that away and the new route. Over the next few months, as we continue to roll out communications about this, we'll be moving to a strictly online system. But there will be clear communications sent out when that does happen.
Thank you so much to both you and Ursula for presenting with us today. Both of you. And thank you for everybody for joining us online and in the room for IH Research Week. If there's no other questions from them or anything, no? Okay. Well, we'll let everybody go early, which I'm sure is always appreciated. And thank you both again. Thank you everybody online. And please feel free to register for more upcoming events for Research Week 2018. Take care.